Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Sports. And I tell you what, how are we all feeling after that game over the weekend? And given the fact that I was not there, I thought I'd have an opportunity to have a talk about the game, the team, where the Springboks are, and just how much we can read into the last two performances. Because it's been a pretty amazing 4 weeks, really, in terms of the turnaround that we've seen from a side that lost to the Wallabies. But even then, there were sort of signs of what we were seeing in that Wallabies game. We then had to battle in the very wet conditions to beat them. We then went down to the All Blacks, but we've just seen, two of one of the all-time great Springbok performances with very similar teams. And I think that we are now starting to really see what the Springboks are trying to do, where the Springboks are trying to go, and what the key players are for the transition and for the future. And I think at the moment, if you're a Springbok fan, there is so much reason to be excited for 2027 World Cup, because I think we are going to go into the World Cup with really good chances of winning it. Nobody says it's going to happen. Definitely. And I don't think anyone's going to sort of sit there and say it's a foregone conclusion. But we're definitely, I think, at this rate, trending to be able to go into that tournament as one of the top 2-3 teams to win it. And I think at the moment, the Boks are very much becoming the team to beat in the world. And a lot will ride on the end of your tour in terms of beating Ireland, beating France. Then there will be no debate whatsoever that they are the current best team in the world. But the way they took apart the All Blacks, the way they took about Argentina this past weekend, which, by the way, I sort of said we had to do. We spoke about the fact that Argentina are a team that can score tries, and they did score points. And they scored 3 tries against the Springboks. But at the end of the day, they're a team that conceded a lot of points as well. And the Boks were very, very good in that second half for their 67 points in total. Before we get into it, please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. So here we go. Here are your stats, by the way, on the MyPicks website. I want you to right now to go to MyPicks, register, go and predict your team that Rusty Rasmus will announce tomorrow. Get your score predictions as well for this weekend, and join us on Saturday for the player rating show. But in terms of, you look at some of the attacking stats from the Boks, and it's just so many reasons to be excited. And I think the big thing that we saw this past weekend is how they continue to back players who have maybe sometimes had a difficult last sort of 12 months, for example, even recently, and they get the best out of them. And I'm talking about Sacha in particular and Kanan Moody, because those are two players who have maybe been in iffy form throughout this year. They've had some good games, they've had some really good moments, but they've also had some off games. Sacha, for example, you go back and look at that Stormers playoff game, I think it was the quarterfinal in the URC, where he just wasn't good, and he had a really poor game. And then you look at the man of the match performance on Saturday, where you sit there looking at a player who was, for me, going to be one of the best players in the world in the next few years, if he continues the trajectory. And what was so exciting on Saturday is he showed his full skill set. He was phenomenal off the tee. His game management was really, really good. Obviously, with ball in hand, he's such a big threat. But he also showed sort of the touch and the finesse he had. That cross kick to Ches and Colby, absolutely perfect. But I think the main thing as well for me is that we saw so many different aspects to the Boks game. We saw the physicality of the Boks, that and the forward pack with the try in the first half for Malcolm Marx, and even something like Damien Delende get involved in that more so important that build up. But the general flair, the Miney Box try as well, individual effort, phenomenal. But even if you look at like the Peter Steph, the toy tries. One was a set move off the back of the lineout, and the other one, you think of the pass from Moen Liebach into space, Ethan Hooker steps inside, offloads. The way we created space, the tempo in which the Boks are trying to play, is a tempo that other teams just can't match right now. And obviously, this is a way of playing and a style of playing that suits dry conditions and really good conditions, which we saw much more so in Wellington, for example, and we saw that in Durban. We're not going to see at the end of the year too, and I think that's why it's going to be the biggest test for us, is to go at the end of the year and see the way we play, for example, is going to be very interesting. Obviously, when you play in the Millennium, for example, it could be that the roof will likely be closed, and you can then play really good attacking rugby, but we're expecting wet conditions in Dublin. We're expecting wet conditions in Paris. But at the end of the day, look at some of the stats that, it's ridiculous. 8 tries. Look at the meters run, it's more than double. And Argentina do like to run with the ball. 9 clean breaks, though, 12 offloads, 6% possession, 123 passes. This is just the Boks flooding their opposition with attack after attack and wearing down teams to the point where they then just really click into gear. And I mean, you look at, for example, the tackle success rate, and the Boks defense is still not quite up to the standard that we expect. And I think that's the worry that some people have. But I think it's also the way we play and the fact that we are a little more open, for example, and we throw the ball around and we like to use the entire field. We've moved very much away from that idea of 10-man rugby. Does make us a bit more susceptible to conceding points. But at the end of the day, if you score 67 points, you win most matches. I'll be very surprised if there's ever been a test match where a team has scored more than 60 points and lost. The set plays, much better over the weekend. Lineouts were pretty flawless. Scrums were pretty good as well. I think a couple of dodgy penalties, for example, and maybe 50-50 when it comes to that. We look at the penalties conceded. We had a yellow card, and we also conceded more penalties. But I don't think 10 penalties is something you have to worry about. That is a stat you can deal with. 17, 18 penalties, that becomes a problem. And then if you look at the kicking from Sacha Zulu, absolutely brilliant. I mean, 7 out of 8 conversions, 2 penalty goals to go over. That, I mean, he scored over 30 points himself. We are seeing a Springboks side who I think, when they play at their best, are unmatched. I think much like we saw Ireland a couple of years ago, I think when they played at their best, you couldn't really get near them. I think the Springboks side, all of a sudden, the way they are playing like the best team in the world. And I cannot wait for the end of the year to see exactly how they play against Ireland and they play against France and kind of put down that gauntlet. And I think it was interesting. I was watching one of the podcasts and they're talking about the fact, and it was Victor Matfield and Don Kerman and the likes, and they were saying, have they left the All Blacks behind? Which is funny considering that we lost to them a few weeks ago. But I think the difference in what you're seeing between the Springboks and the All Blacks, the All Blacks have got enough good players to still be able to get results and be able to find results, be able to beat good teams. And they have beaten good teams. They've beaten the Boks. They've been number 1 this year. But I don't think they're evolving, and I don't think they're consistent enough, and they've got a game plan or a system that is solid enough to be consistent. And that's why, whilst they've beaten the Boks this year, they've also lost to Argentina, and they've lost record defeat to the Boks, and they weren't amazing against of course, a French second team. So I think that at the moment, we're seeing a side like Springboks playing some of the best rugby in the world. Ireland and France will be the big test, but I do think that we're starting to see a bit of a gap being built up at the top. And if the Boks go and beat France and go and beat Ireland, and if they put these kind of scores on there, then it becomes seriously nerve-wracking for the rest of the world. As a Boks fan, we are not seeing the changing of the guard, and it's so exciting. I think the reason we're so excited is that these victories and these results in the last couple of weeks have come without a Andre Pollard, a Bongi Benambi, a Vincent Koch, a Jesse Creel. Fussie's been injured. There's no Kirkley Orenser. There's no Oxenchair over the weekend. There's no Gerstinikamp, for example, who's been a really big player. Over the weekend, there's no Leo de Jager. There's been no Franco Mostert. There's been so many players, stalwarts, big name players for the Boks that haven't played in these 2 tests, and we've been putting on big scores. And I think that's probably one of the reasons that we're so excited. And it's just also that the whole idea of the second half flurry that we're seeing over here. This try 66, try 75, try towards the end as well. And we're just seeing second half performances where they just turn on. And when they turn it on, they become almost unstoppable. And I think it's a very exciting position to be in. So very much looking forward to this weekend and seeing what Twickenham and the challenges might hold, to be honest, and what the conditions might be and how we react. But what are we thinking? Can this Boks team go and beat France and Ireland at the end of the year? Could we go 5 more wins at the end of the year tour after this weekend? I'm not assuming you're going to get the win, but now, for example, 1 win this weekend, we've got the Rugby Championship, then all eyes go to the end of year tour, and you get 5 out of 5. You go into the end of year going, we are comfortably the best team in the world. But a long way to go until then, but so much reason to be excited for it. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve, and I'll chat to you soon.